happen.
Stay 10 toes down on the mission. Need to stay about my way and mind your business. Ops on my shit, but I ain't tripping. If I see him drawing out and I'ma hit him. I don't never break, I don't never bend. I'ma set it straight, I'ma represent. Boys only hitters I can hit out. Real shit is only hitters I can hit.
Yo, what's the deal, man? It's your boy Big Not. A lot of you already know what it is, man. I'm back at you with another reaction video, man. It's the 15 weird facts about the movie Friday, man. Let's get into it.
Hey, would you like your very own Shopify store? We're literally and completely free, by the way. We are live streaming right now.
I need to borrow your car right quick. What kind of is that? Most people want to borrow sugar. They even ketchup. You want to borrow my car? Hell no.
The behind-the-scenes mystery of this movie will leave you shocked. 30 years ago, a 26-year-old rapper who had never written a screenplay helped create one of the most quoted comedies in American cinema, made for just $3.5 million, shot in 20 days, and filmed almost entirely on one real street in South Central Los Angeles. It looked simple on screen. It wasn't. What really happened during filming? Who almost walked away? And what secrets from Friday have fans never...
All right, man, look. After this video, I'm going to try to put in the comments, did y'all know these 15 weird facts? Or is y'all just catching up on these 15 weird facts the same way I'm catching up on these 15 weird facts? Put them in the comments put them in the comments for me. There you go.
Heard. Join us as we reveal 15 weird facts about Friday. Number 15. The unexpected inspiration. Before there was a script, deal, or a single camera rolling on 126th Street, there was a conversation between Ice Cube and DJ Pooh about something that was genuinely bothering both of them. Every time Hollywood made a movie about a black neighborhood in Los Angeles, it looked like a battlefield. Boys and the Hood, Colors, Menace to Society. These were serious, important films, but they were also presenting one specific version of what life in South Central looked like, and it was not the whole picture. Ice Cube had grown up in that neighborhood. He had sat on porches, watched neighbors walk by, and laughed at the specific characters and situations that every block in every city has. He said in interviews that they had fun in the hood, that they used to trip off the neighborhood, and that nobody was making a film about that version of the experience. Ice Cube and DJ Pooh set out to write a film that would show South Central as a place where people actually lived and laughed.
Quit playing. Don't let me get you, boy. Stop.
I wanted to say too, yeah, I was raised in South Central, you know what I'm saying? I had to stay out there, you feel me? I had a lot of family out there, you feel me? I was born in Watts, California, but raised in the Valley, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? San Fernando, be exact, A1A, baby, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's all I wanted to say, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to say that because, you know what I mean? I just wanted to say it.
Deliberately counteracting the violent portrayals that had dominated Hollywood's version of that world, and drawing directly on their own personal experiences for the characters and situations. The plot point about Craig getting fired for allegedly stealing cardboard boxes from work, the event that sets the entire story in motion, was taken from a real incident involving Ice Cube's cousin. Smokey's role as a small-time drug dealer who smokes his own product was based directly on DJ.
So when Craig was getting fired, that was based on his cousin. And DJ and Smokey part being a drug dealer smoking his own product is DJ Pooh in real life. That's crazy work, right?
Pooh's own experiences, the neighbors, the arguments, the money problems, the specific rhythm of one day on one block, all of it came from real life. The film was also inspired by Kevin Smith's Clerks, another low-budget comedy shot in a single location about two friends who spend a day going nowhere in particular, which Ice Cube and DJ Pooh specifically cited when pitching the concept to New Line Cinema, as a model for how to make a funny, relatable film with almost no money. The House Party films, which New Line had also produced, were cited as a tonal reference. The studio got the picture, gave a green light, and Friday was born from that specific combination of personal frustration and creative ambition. And if the whole idea started with a frustrated reaction to how Hollywood was telling the story of a neighborhood who came incredibly close to never appearing in the film at all, despite going on to give the most celebrated performance in it. Number 14. Chris Rock and Tommy Davidson were almost Smokey before Chris Tucker.
See, Tommy Davidson, okay, I can see him being spoke because he, you know what I'm saying, he's more funnier than to me than Chris Rock. So, y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think. Put y'all, you know what I'm saying, opinions and shit in the comments.
Ever got the call, had written the character, he understood had written the character, he understood the character, and he wanted to perform the character. Then New Line Cinema stepped in with a condition attached to their funding. If this movie is going to get made, the role of Smokey needs to go to someone with more experience and a bigger profile than DJ Pooh. Pooh was not a known screen actor. He was a music producer and a rapper. New Line wanted a comedian with an established name in one of the two lead roles, and Pooh was not that person. So a casting search began, and the names that came up before Chris Tucker did are genuinely surprising. Chris Rock was considered for the role of Smokey. Tommy Davidson was also in the conversation. Both were passed over before Ice Cube and DJ Pooh discovered Chris Tucker through his appearances on Def Comedy Jam and immediately knew he was the right choice. The audition that followed was not smooth. Tucker's first audition was poorly received. He came in and performed the scenes exactly as they were written, hitting his marks, saying his lines, doing everything technically correct, and generating no particular excitement in the room. The casting director, Kim Harden, later explained that Tucker at the time simply did not know that comedians were allowed to improvise, so he just stuck to the script.
That's why he didn't get. That's why they were thinking about getting other people because he was just trying to, you know what I'm saying, trying to make it right. But once he put his little acting to that shit, man, what? Nigga killed that shit.
For a minute. What?
What?
Once someone in the room told him he could go off the page, everything changed immediately. Tucker reached out to actress Angela Means, who appears in the film as Joanne, and asked her to connect him with her acting coach. Instead of a formal session, Means invited him to dinner. By the time the spaghetti was gone, Tucker had worked through the character enough that he walked back into the audition room a completely different performer. His natural energy, his willingness to improvise, and the specific chemistry he had with Ice Cube's deliberately low-key Craig sealed the deal. DJ Pooh accepted the role of Red instead, which means the man who got hit so hard by Debo that he flew through the air was the same man who had originally planned to be the one smoking all the weed. But if the casting of Smokey was almost completely different, the fact about where the movie was shot contains a detail that most people who have seen it 100 times have never consciously registered. Number 13. The whole movie was shot on the director's actual childhood street. Friday was filmed almost entirely on 126th Street between Normandy and Halldale Avenues in South Central Los Angeles, which was the specific street where director F. Gary Gray actually grew up as a child. This was not a set built to look like a South Central neighborhood. It was not a location chosen because it photographed well or because it was convenient for the production. It was the literal block where Gray had played, learned, lived, and developed the understanding of that specific world that made him the right person to direct the film. The houses used for filming were the actual homes of Gray's old friends and neighbors, people who lived on that street and who allowed a film crew to descend on their block for 3 weeks in 1994. The scene where Debo punches Red so hard that Red flies through the air was filmed directly in front of what was, at the time, the actual Gray family home.
That's my fight, punk!
You got
knocked out.
The director was watching one of the film's most memorable physical comedy moments happen literally in front of his parents' house. When Ice Cube said that the film captured what it actually felt like to spend a day in that neighborhood, he was not speaking metaphorically. The neighborhood in the film was the exact neighborhood he was describing. Ice Cube was attracted to Gray as a director precisely because of this shared background, telling interviewers that he chose Gray because they had grown up in similar neighborhoods, and Gray had a natural understanding of the material that someone coming from outside that world simply could not have developed from the outside. And if the location was the director's real childhood,
That part right there is funny as fuck, yeah.
the fact about what the director himself did while the cameras were rolling reveals something about the low budget, everyone pitches in atmosphere that defined the entire production. Number 12. The director played a character in his own film and nobody noticed for years. F. Gary Gray did not just direct Friday. He acted in it too, in an uncredited role so small and so easily missed that a significant number of people who have watched the film.
Now let me say this right here. I did see that part in him and that shit when he said who he was, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy, because I didn't know who the director was. So some of y'all know, most of y'all they probably didn't know who the director was, and then, you know what I'm saying, realize or recognize it. So, but yeah, y'all see it right now.
Multiple times, have never consciously registered his presence on screen. Gray appears as a store employee, the man mopping the floor in the liquor store during one of the film's scenes. He is there, visible, doing his job.
Get your gas up over there, it ain't even wet over there.
And completely unremarkable in a way that is entirely intentional. The cameo was one of several in the film that added familiar faces without drawing attention away from the main action. The late comedian LaWanda Page, famous for her role as Aunt Esther on Sanford and Son, appears as a Jehovah's Witness who knocks on the door and gets it closed in her face by Craig. Rapper WC appears
See, I knew who that was.
as one of the drive-by shooters working for Big Worm.
I knew who that was.
These were the kinds of low-key appearances that gave the film its texture of a real neighborhood populated by recognizable types rather than a movie populated by obvious stars. The cameo tradition continued with DJ Pooh's role as Red, which transformed the film's original Smokey into one of its most physically abused side characters.
Man, I snuck through the back window to get the money out of his pants. Just when I was gonna get the money, little crackhead Ezel come running through the window and woke him up.
Every time Debo steals something from Red, every time Red gets hit, every time Red's bicycle and chain end up somewhere other than with their owner, the audience was watching the film's original co-writer absorb punishment that was, in a sense, karmic payback for having planned to give himself the best role in the movie before the studio said no. But if the director's cameo was the most easily missed appearance in the film, the next fact involves a presence so brief and so uncredited that the actor's fame today makes his appearance in Friday look like a completely different category of Hollywood history than it felt like in 1995. Number 11. The Green Mile's Michael Clark Duncan made his film debut on Friday, and nobody paid any attention. In 1995,
Yeah, because I knew who he was, but I didn't pay attention to that shit either, though. I ain't gonna do.
Michael Clark Duncan was a largely unknown man who had been working as a bodyguard for celebrities, including Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and the notorious B.I.G.,
I didn't know he was a bodyguard, though, for all them niggas.
while trying to break into acting through commercials and small roles. He had not yet made a film. He did not have a career. He was, by his own later account, just a big guy trying to get his foot in the door. In Friday, Michael Clark Duncan made his theatrical film debut in an uncredited role as a craps player in the scene where Debo confronts Red about his stolen bicycle. He is there on screen, briefly, large and unmistakable in retrospect, playing a background role that nobody in 1995 had any particular reason to notice. He had no lines that anyone remembers. He was not a named character. He was just a man playing craps in a scene that was really about something else entirely. 4 years later, Duncan appeared in The Green Mile as John Coffey, the gentle giant on death row.
Door.
All right, man.
Hey! You kids quit slamming my goddamn door!
Damn.
Whose story earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor and made him one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood. The man who earned that nomination had made his film debut playing craps in the background of a South Central comedy that was made for $3.5 million on a 20-day shoot. The distance between those two moments in the same career is one of the more remarkable trajectories in modern American film. If one of the film's most significant uncredited appearances belonged to a future Oscar nominee, the next fact belongs to a 2-second throwaway line that became one of the most widely used phrases in the entire English-speaking internet. Number 10, "Bye Felicia," was a throwaway line that Ice Cube almost cut. Ice Cube has said publicly on multiple occasions that "Bye Felicia" was such a throwaway line that he never thought twice about it when the script was being written, when the scene was being filmed, or when the film was being edited. It was a small dismissal delivered to a minor character that served no plot function and generated no particular attention at the time of the film's release. He told Rolling Stone in 2015 that he was cool with the "Bye Felicia" thing, but told his son not to put it on his tombstone. The line was delivered in response to the character Felicia. The actress who played Felicia was Angela Means, the same woman who had hosted the dinner at which Chris Tucker worked through the Smokey character well enough to win the role. The woman who helped Chris Tucker get the part that made him famous was also the woman whose brief scene generated the meme that kept Friday relevant 20 years after its release. The cultural life of Bye Felicia accelerated dramatically when social media gave it a new platform in the early 2000s, where it spread far beyond the people who had seen the original film and into a general cultural vocabulary that operates entirely independently of Friday itself. And if a throwaway dismissal became a cultural institution, the next fact involves the very first image viewers see in the film, which was actually a carefully planned tribute to a completely different movie. Number 9. Ice Cube's outfit in the opening scene was a deliberate nod to Boys and the Hood. The first thing audiences see when Friday begins is Craig Jones rolling out of bed in the morning wearing a specific outfit: a black shirt, cut-off khaki shorts, high white socks, and dark slippers. Most viewers register this as Craig's sleepwear and move on without further thought. Ice Cube intended for them to do a double take. The opening outfit Craig wears is a deliberate and acknowledged reference to the clothing worn by Ice Cube's character Doughboy in the final scene of Boys and the Hood.
Yeah, see, I ain't noticed that, but we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna stop pausing and let us finish the video.
Purposeful connection between the two films that Ice Cube planted for the audience members paying close enough attention to catch it. Boys in the Hood was the film in which Ice Cube had made his acting debut in 1991. The serious and critically celebrated examination of violence and loss in South Central that Friday was now deliberately complementing with a lighter, funnier, more everyday version of the same neighborhood. The matching outfit was Ice Cube saying, in visual terms, that Craig Jones and Doughboy Baker inhabited the same world, that Friday was a companion to the earlier film rather than a departure from it. The costume connection went even further in the other direction across time. The outfit that Craig wears for the rest of Friday, the dark pants, black and white plaid long-sleeve shirt, and black Nikes that he changes into after the opening scene, was later worn by Ice Cube's real son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., in Straight Outta Compton in 2015, when Jackson played a young version of his own father. The clothes moved from Boys in the Hood to Friday to Straight Outta Compton across 24 years of Ice Cube's career, connecting 3 films that together tell one coherent story about a man, a neighborhood, and a generation. And if the opening outfit was a planned tribute, the fact about what the entire cast was paid for the film reveals something about how little financial reward was available, even for the people who made it a hit. Number 8. The entire cast was paid $5,000 each, and everyone knew it. John Witherspoon, who played Craig's father Willie Jones and delivered some of the film's most memorable improvised moments, broke the news about the Friday paychecks publicly in an interview with DJ Vlad years after the film's release, and his delivery was as direct as everything else about the man. $5,000. That was the standard rate. Witherspoon confirmed that the $5,000 check was what virtually every cast member received, including Nia Long, Bernie Mac, A.J. Johnson, Tiny Lister Jr.
Rest in peace, Bernie Mac, and rest in peace, Tiny Lister Jr.,
Regina King, and Chris Tucker, adding the memorable summary that everybody else on the show was going to say they made more money, but nobody made any money on that movie. Chris Tucker himself confirmed in a separate interview that he made $10,000 for the film, slightly more than the standard $5,000 rate, and said he was simply grateful to have had the chance to participate. The film went on to gross $27 million against a budget of $3.5 million, generating returns that made the studio considerably wealthier than the people who had appeared on screen to create those returns.
We could kick it, but I forgot I had to go pick my mom from work, and you know how that is.
Ice Cube pushed back on any characterization of this as exploitation when the pay rates became public. stating flatly that he had not robbed anyone, that the film cost $2.3 million to make, that it was shot in 20 days, and that all the actors had been free to say no but had chosen to participate. Faison Love, who played Big Worm, also confirmed the rate and noted that his character's 2 to 3 days of filming on set made the $5,000 check appropriate for his specific contribution, while acknowledging that the ongoing cultural relevance of the role had delivered its own kind of reward that the original check could not have anticipated. The $5,000 paychecks did not last long for the people who returned for sequels. Witherspoon himself revealed that his rate jumped from $5,000 on the original Friday to $400,000 for next Friday in 2000.
You better put some water on that shit, boy.
All right, I eat it.
Hey!
A multiplication that somewhat echoes the trajectory of Robert Duvall between The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. And if the cast was making $5,000 each, the next fact about what one cast member did to prepare for his role reveals that the dedication being brought to a $5,000 paycheck was genuine.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Extraordinary. Number 7. Tiny Lister was an actual pro wrestler before he played Debo, and that was not acting. Tommy Tiny Lister Jr. brought something to the role of Debo that no acting class could have taught, and no director could have coached him to fake. He brought 6 feet 5 inches and 280 pounds of actual professional wrestling experience. Before Friday, Tiny Lister had been competing as a professional wrestler under the ring name Zeus, a character built entirely around the kind of physically imposing, seemingly unstoppable force that Debo embodied in the film. The specific quality that made Debo one of the most memorable bullies in the history of American comedy was not scripted. It was the way Lister moved, the way he occupied space, the way even the most casual physical contact between him and another character conveyed a weight and a threat that an actor performing intimidation rather than possessing it could not have replicated. When Debo punched people in Friday, the reaction from the people being hit was not entirely acting. Standing next to someone that size who knows how to make physical contact land with authority has a clarifying effect on everyone in the immediate vicinity. Unfortunately, Lister passed away in December 2020, a loss that removed 3 of the original film's essential personalities from any possible future version of the story, a reality that casts a particular shadow over the
Oh, it's 3 of them that passed away, man. Oh, yeah, Bernie Mac. Rest in peace, about 3 of them. You know what I'm saying? Keep them in your prayers, man, and their families, man. You know what I'm saying?
prospect of last Friday ever feeling like a genuine continuation. Now, let's move on to the next fact. Number 6. John Witherspoon's shocking improvisation. The bathroom scene in Friday is one of the most universally quoted moments in the entire film. Craig's father, sitting on the toilet, reading the newspaper, dispensing life advice with the complete authority of a man who sees no contradiction between the setting and the subject matter, is the kind of scene that people memorize and repeat to each other for decades. Almost none of it was in the original script. John Witherspoon received considerable freedom to improvise his scenes throughout the production, and a significant portion of the most memorable lines delivered by his character Willie Jones came directly from Witherspoon's own comedic instincts, rather than from anything Ice Cube and DJ Pooh had written.
But yeah, Sister Jones in? Nope, neither's Brother Jones. They both at work.
His distinctive timing and delivery made the improvisations feel so seamlessly connected to the written material that most viewers watching the film have no way to distinguish between what was scripted and what Witherspoon invented in the moment. Witherspoon was a veteran stand-up comedian who had appeared on The Tonight Show and in numerous films and television shows before Friday. He understood how to find the specific truth in a comedic moment, and the character of Willie Jones, a father with strong opinions about newspaper reading schedules and son employment, gave him a canvas broad enough for him to fill with material that came from a genuine understanding of that generational dynamic. Let's check out other facts that made the movie stand out. Number 5. The clothing code. This is the detail that makes people rewatch the film with completely different eyes the moment they learn it. When the costume department sat down to plan the wardrobe for Friday, A decision was made that extended to virtually every character in the cast. Everything would be blue, not obviously, not in a way that would announce itself as a visual theme, but systematically, across every major character's primary costume. Smokey wears a blue shirt and hat throughout the film. Debo wears a plaid blue shirt. Mrs. Parker wears blue shorts. Megan Good's character wears a blue hat and blue overalls. The blue color palette was a deliberate production design choice that was applied consistently across the wardrobe to give the film a visual coherence without ever drawing the audience's attention to the fact that everyone on the block was coordinated.
Control. Stop.
The effect is subtle enough that most viewers never consciously register it while watching, but it creates a specific visual unity that gives the film the feeling of a single.
I was trying to catch it, but
It's a specific visual unity.
there you go, right there, y'all. There you go. That's the director, nigga.
That gives the film the feeling of a single contained world where everything belongs together. The decision was a creative solution to the practical challenge of shooting almost an entire film in a single location with a limited budget. But limited budgets were not the only thing they had to worry about. Number 4. Altercation with gang members. During the flashback scene where Smokey accidentally smokes angel dust with Hector and his friends, 2 men can be seen sitting on a wall in the background who were not hired extras and had not been invited to be in the scene. They were real gang members from the neighborhood who objected to the film production happening on their block and decided to make their presence felt by simply sitting in the background of the shot.
All the times I've been watching this movie, I've never seen when that nigga Smokey was fucking with the angel dust shoot them niggas. I've never seen that shit in the background, but I never looked it too, but yeah.
And refusing to move. The production offered to pay them as walk-on extras. They declined the money and stayed where they were anyway. The scene was filmed around them. The decision to keep rolling rather than fight the situation reflects something important about how the film was made.
Oh, so they opened that already.
Yup. I heard they hiring too. You need to go down there and see what's up. Show out of work ass.
This was not a production that had the luxury of reshooting scenes.
Look at this nigga, God. Look at Cub's face. Oh my goodness, this nigga is funny as fuck. Look at Cub's face though, bro.
Multiple times until every element was controlled. It was a 20-day shoot on a $3.5 million budget, and the 2 men sitting on the wall were going to be in the film whether the production wanted them there or not. Let's move on to the next fact. Number 3. F. Gary Gray was terrified of directing the film and almost turned it down. The man who would go on to direct The Negotiator, The Italian Job, Straight Outta Compton, and the 8th Fast and Furious film had serious reservations about Friday before he agreed to make it. Not because he doubted the material, because he doubted whether the audience would believe Ice Cube in a comedy. Gray said publicly that Ice Cube being cast in a comedy scared the hell out of him, explaining that Ice Cube was perceived as the toughest man in America, someone who delivered hard-hitting social issues in hardcore gangster rap with a hardcore view on politics, and that the idea of that person trying to make people laugh seemed like a genuinely risky proposition. The question he was sitting with was whether the audience could let go of the Ice Cube they knew from NWA and Straight Outta Compton and accept him as Craig Jones, an ordinary unemployed young man on a porch trying to figure out how to pay a $200 by midnight. Ice Cube himself was aware of this challenge and had specifically chosen Gray because he felt that someone who had grown up in the same environment would understand instinctively how to make the transition feel natural rather than forced. The music video work they had done together, including It Was
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store, preloaded
A Good Day, had established a visual language between director and subject that translated directly to the film.
God, ain't getting her no more.
Gray's comfort with Ice Cube in front of a camera, and Ice Cube's trust in Gray behind one, produced a working relationship on set that was close enough to the friendship between Craig and Smokey to feel genuinely relaxed rather than performed. Friday was Gray's feature film debut. The director, who was scared the audience would not accept Ice Cube as a comedic lead, made a film that ended his own anxiety about the question permanently. While he was worried about acceptance, There was the issue of keeping one of the major characters on board. Number 2. Chris Tucker turned down $10 to $12 million for the sequel because of God and weed.
Damn. But hey, good for him though. But you know, it's a lot of money, bro.
The question that Friday fans have been asking since 2000 is the same question they are still asking in 2026. Why was Smokey not next Friday? The answer has 2 parts, and the more honest part took Tucker himself years to fully articulate publicly. Tucker revealed in a public interview that one of the primary reasons he did not return for the sequel was his discomfort with continuing to represent marijuana use to a wide audience, saying that the movie had become a phenomenon, and that he did not want everybody smoking weed, that he did not want to keep representing that.
That's why I've been like, fuck Hector.
Yeah, I remember that.
Deep.
He added that he had kind of forgotten about this reason for years before it came back to him clearly. John Witherspoon provided the fuller context in his own interview, explaining that Tucker's church council had specifically told him he could not be in a movie where characters were smoking weed, that the preachers had gotten to him and delivered the message that his participation was not something they could endorse. Ice Cube confirmed publicly that the offer made to Tucker for next Friday was between $10 and $12 million, and that Tucker turned it down for religious reasons, specifically not wanting to cuss or smoke weed on camera anymore. Witherspoon's addition to the official version was characteristically direct. Tucker was with Jackie Chan doing Rush Hour for $20 million at the time, so returning to Friday for even $12 million was not financially necessary, and the religious
See, I see why he didn't do it, because yeah, he was getting 20.
reasons gave him a clean and honest way to decline without it being purely about money. The 2 explanations were not mutually exclusive, and Witherspoon did not pretend they were. The irony that Witherspoon added in his final interviews before his death in 2019 was delivered with the same timing that made him the best improviser on the Friday set. Weed is legal now. If Tucker had just waited long enough, the theological objection would have been considerably easier to navigate. But despite the weirdness of the movie, a famous figure had only good things to say about it. Number 1. Quentin Tarantino's interesting comments. Director Quentin Tarantino, whose opinions on film are among the most closely watched in the industry, named Friday as one of his 20 favorite films released between 1992 and 2009. This placed a low-budget South Central comedy on a list that also contained the films that Tarantino considered the best work produced across nearly 2 decades of cinema. The inclusion says something specific about what Friday accomplished that pure box office numbers and critical reviews cannot fully capture. The soundtrack deserves its own acknowledgement. Ice Cube was surprised to discover during the making of the film that Rick James's Mary Jane had never been used in a movie before, and he described the combination of the Isley Brothers and a fresh Dr. Dre single as a genuinely special labor of love that produced a soundtrack better than anyone involved had expected to make. The Friday soundtrack debuted at number 1 on the Billboard charts and featured the Dr. Dre single Keep Their Heads Ringin', which was certified gold. It was knocked out of the top spot after 2 weeks by Hootie and the Blowfish's Cracked Rear View, a displacement that was probably not what anyone involved in either project would have predicted as the most likely outcome of that particular chart competition.
I've been down before.
The film earned a 77% critic score and a 91% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, distinguishing itself as one of the few Hollywood productions of its era with an all-black principal cast and crew, and launching a media franchise that included 2 sequels, an animated series, and a 4th film that has been in development for years, but has not yet been completed. Ice Cube described the film's lasting connection with audiences simply, "People love Friday because everyone experienced it, because everyone has lived 1,000 Fridays." That observation, delivered about a film made on a single South Central street in 20 days for $3.5 million, is probably the most accurate explanation anyone has offered for why a movie about $5,000, a $20, and a neighborhood bully on a porch is still being quoted, watched, and discovered 30 years after the cameras stopped rolling. So which of these 15 facts hit differently? And do you think Last Friday can possibly capture what made the original so special? Or is some of that magic just gone now? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more.
Y'all heard what he said, man. Remember to like, share, and ring that notification bell for more. And yeah, leave y'all comments, man. Leave y'all thoughts in the comments, man. Leave what y'all thought, or leave what y'all, you know what I'm saying, whatever in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Drop it below. And yeah, we'll get right back to y'all with another one. Like me, big, not a whole lot of you already know what it is, man. And we out of here. Hey, let's go.